Hello YouTube, this is Alex Shandell, and we are back for our next video in the production of Android Studio. So let us create a new project. We will be learning today about simple layout designs. And we are going to make our project, of course, for phone and tablet, and we want to set the minimum SDK. I'd suggest something like API 19, which is Android 4.4 KitKat, because of how versatile it is, 73.9% of all devices. And next we will want to create our activity. In this we can simply use an empty activity. This is what the user will see. And very easy, default is just called main activity, as that will be the main activity that the user will see. So right now we are just waiting for Gradle to build. This will be the most frustrating part of all Android programming, in my opinion, waiting for Gradle to finish building, especially on real Google APIs such as Maps. Those can take even longer to build. For ease of use, I have cut out a large part of the whole waiting process, but right now we are waiting, and now it is indexing, and finally we can see everything working all right. So let us go to the main activity itself in the design template view. So it has a nice design here that Android Studio provides us with, and so we can easily see before we run our project, we can actually check what does it look like. So our first point of order will be to change our relative layout to a linear layout. This allows everything to be easily organized by lines, and so we will want to replace all the padding with orientation. So we will set the orientation of our linear layout to vertical, and this will allow everything to be aligned vertically going down the screen. So you'll have something on top and something below that, something below that, etc. And so for our simple layout design, we can make a nice little app that allows you to simply change the text of our text view here. So we changed the whole width of the text view to match parent, and we changed it in the design, and it changed it in the text as well. That's a nice little feature of Android Studio, but I do prefer using the text. But you can also use the design, and so now we can set the text size to 20. So DP is commonly used, but Android Studio always prefers to use SP for real text size. So that is why we have SP there for text, and it looks like a pretty good baseline for our starter size for the text. So next we will want to add an edit text, which is right there. So we drag it in, and it shows up right beneath our text view because we are in a vertical linear layout. And we will also want to add a button. So here is a button, and we have added it into the layout. And so we will want to also add IDs for each of them. For example, the edit text has an ID of edit text. We want to add an ID for our text view as well. So we can do Android ID, and then it has an et plus ID, which adds it to, which means that we are adding an ID to the ID resource file, and so we can just call that text, and we do not actually need an ID for our button, but we can at least change the text to, say, apply changes. But we do not need an ID because the button has a nice feature that allows us to have it call a method when it's clicked rather than actually needing to check if it is clicked by creating our own instance of the object. So now in the main activity class, we will want to create a TextView object. We can just call it TextView, and an edit text and call it edit text. Or we can also just call it text because that is what the ID resource is. So we will want to set our text, initialize it, and so this will use a very, very commonly used method called findViewById, very commonly used in activities, that is. Because findViewById allows us to actually get an object from the activity main XML layout file, and so we get the view of our ID text, and then that is a view, but we want a text view, so we simply just cast it to a text view, and then we have our text view. And we will do a similar process for our edit text. We will find the view by ID of our edit text, r.id.edit text, and we will cast that to an edit text as well. So very simple. Now we will want to make a void method, and we can call it apply changes. This will be the method that our button calls whenever it is clicked. So a button method requires a parameter of a view, so we just add in a view. Even if we don't need it, we will still have to have that parameter, so we just add it in there. And so we want to set the text of our text view to the edit texts, the string of the edit text, because you have to set the text of a text view to a string. So we have our edit text from our layout. We get the text and then we convert it to a string, and we set the text view to that string. So whenever you click on the button, it just changes the text of the text view that is displayed on the top to the edit texts string. And so all we have to do now is make our button actually call that method. So we do Android on click, and there it is, apply changes. And just like that, we are ready to go because it calls our method apply changes whenever it's clicked, which allows us to change the text. So now we can run the application. I will be using my physical device, my LGE. And so here we are in the application. Once it loads up, Gradle. And so we can just type in whatever we want. What is this application? And apply changes, and there it is, right in the text view. Works perfectly. It is granted very, very simple so far, but next we can add our own little thing of a Seekbar. So let's just stop the app right now and go back into our activity XML file. And so for right now, our text size is locked in at 20 SP, That's nice. It's a decent size, but what about giving the user some freedom in that? And we can easily achieve this by adding a Seekbar. The Seekbar allows the user to simply slide it up and down. It's literally just a slider. You just slide it along to whatever size you want, and it'll change the size. So it already has its own ID right in there for us. So we can go back to our main activity, and we will want to make an object, or well, we want to make our own instance of the Seekbar in the main activity class. So we create our own object called Seekbar, and just as the others above, we do find view by ID, r.id.seekbar, and we convert that to a Seekbar. And so we also will set the maximum of the Seekbar to say 100. So the max text size will then be 100 SP. Well, okay, we can also set it to 80 because we don't want the user to actually set the text size to 0, then it will just disappear. So we can set it to 80. And this way, when we do seekbar.getProgress, we can add 20 to that. So at 0, it's actually text size 20. At 80, it's actually 100. Because we are getting the progress of the Seekbar, and then we are just setting the text size of the text view, and we are also adding 20 to that Seekbar progress because we have 80, max 80 plus 20, so we have a real maximum of 100 for the text size, and a minimum, because if the Seekbar progress is 0, the minimum, then it will add 20 to that anyway. So we go from 20 to 100 for our text size. So how about we try that out then? So here we are in the application, and we have our nice little Seekbar. And I did forget something, but our Seekbar does work quite well. But what if, say, there is no input in there, then it is just completely blank on the screen. It looks like it broke. So we will want to make sure that if the edit text is in fact blank, it instead ignores the actual string of the edit text. So we'll do an if statement and check if the edit text.getText.toString is in fact null, or just a blank string, that is, not null, but a blank string. Or we could actually, much better, instead of trying to return, because then it would skip the get progress, or set progress, or set text size, that is, we can instead, if it is not blank, then we can just set the text. So here we are. And so now, even though we have a blank string in the edit text there, it just changes the size rather than completely overwriting it to a blank string, overwriting the text view to a blank string, that is. So it tends to look better, at least. But how about we also work a little bit more on that to look better? So that can be achieved easily by adjusting layout margins. Layout gravity is also a nice thing to work in, but for right now, let's just try layout margin. So we can select every single object and give it a top margin of, try 10 dp, maybe a little more, 20. Okay. So we can just sort of figure this out, trial and error style. The nice part of this is that when you're using a linear layout like this, it does allow you to scale these values based upon devices. So now we have our TextView up at the top, far apart from all of our inputs then. So, and our inputs are still separated so as to not look too cramped, so that looks pretty good, I'd say. So I'd say it is time to try it out then. And here we are in the application. So we can test it out. I mean, the whole layout itself looks much better, and we can also have full functionality as before. So I'd say that about covers the basics, the bare basics of layout design. We will certainly get into more later. Thank you for watching though, YouTube. This is Alex Shandell. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have questions or suggestions, leave it in the comments below.